YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and this is just a quick announcement video. Last week I made a video, which was a channel update, and I asked for input on several things from you, and I just wanted to kind of announce the results of the input that I received from you. Now, it wasn't a vote, it was me getting input. I guess it kind of is a vote because you're putting your input in there, and then I make my decisions based off that input, but it's not necessarily just a numbers count, is what I should say. It's based on several factors. You all had lots of good input, so let's announce things. And the one thing that I don't really, or that I'll announce first, is that I will do some of the Patchy's consumer review videos. So in the future, keep an eye out for that. Again, they won't be real frequent. I'm sure that it's not something that all of you are chomping at the bit to see, but I decided that I will do a review of some of the electronics and stuff that I own or that I buy, so that I can tell you all what I think of it just as an average consumer and what I thought that it was good at, or maybe its shortfalls and whatever else. So in any case, that's what's going to happen with Patchy's consumer reviews. Maybe one of those a month is all I'm really planning on, so again, not a huge change there. Now there were three other things I asked you all for. The first was the input for a new, I guess, feature that I'm going to be adding into my campaigns, which is called Patchy's Quest, and that's where you as the viewer got to give me input on the objectives that you would like to see me accomplish outside of the required objectives that the game has for me. And I offered for you, or I asked you all to give me feedback for the Baktria campaign, and I have chosen a couple of Patchy's quests that I'm going to implement, and they should help drive the campaign into an interesting direction. And here it is. So Patchy's Quest and the Baktria campaign. The first one, and sorry, I don't really have a good photo editing program yet. I'm working on getting one. If y'all have any recommendations, let me know. But in any case, the Patchy's Quest and the Baktria campaign right now, the first one's going to be called The Distant Shores, and Patchy's Quest there is to invade Britannia, which is going to be quite the feat for Baktria, seeing as we start on the completely opposite side of the map. And the second Patchy's Quest is going to be Et tu Heir, which means that I'm going to destroy the Carthaginian faction, which goes against most of what I like, but I figured you all would find that entertaining. So those are going to be the Patchy's Quest items that we're going to be working on for now. Keep an eye out in future videos. I'm going to ask you for feedback on all the campaigns that I have running. This includes probably the Carthage campaign and Caesar and Gaul. And that's going to hopefully make these things more fun and give you all an opportunity to drive me in an interesting and new direction in these campaigns that you get to give me input on. I got a massive response from people. I had almost 400 comments on that video, so I can't tell you how much I appreciate all the feedback. It makes this fun, and it makes it entertaining because I get to see all your feedback and see what you're thinking, and then hopefully get to provide something that you enjoy. Alright, so on to other announcements. Now before I make these next announcements, because the next two announcements are going to be big, they're going to be announcing campaigns that I plan to do in the future. So I'm not going to start these campaigns until I finish one of the ones that I have ongoing, but I wanted to go ahead and announce them so that you all know what's coming next. Now just because I announce these campaigns doesn't mean that my plan might not change based on what we need to get done. However, of course, I fully intend to finish the campaigns that I start, or at least take them to the point where we've accomplished the objectives that you, the viewer, gave me. So for instance, the Baktria campaign, I may not take it to the finish as far as the game's concerned, but I'm going to play it until I conquer Britannia and until I finish off the Carthaginian faction. Now, could I play it a little longer than that? Sure. It depends on what you all want. The Caesar and Gaul campaign, I'm going to play that one to the finish because it's a shorter campaign, and the same thing with the Carthage campaign. I'm going to play that one to the finish because I love that campaign, and we're so far into it already. But not all of these campaigns are necessarily going to play out to the end-all objectives that CA gives us in the game. I figure we can make our own objectives, we can make it fun, I can play it as long as you want me to play it, or I can play it short if you want me to play it short. I'll be looking for your feedback. So, on to the other announcements. Once I've finished one of the campaigns that I'm in, the next campaign that's going to start is going to be my This Is Total War campaign. And what that is it's based on the achievement on Steam for Total War Rome 2, where you have to declare war on every faction immediately on the first turn, and on every subsequent turn, every time you encounter a faction, you have to immediately declare war without ending the turn before that, and you can't make peace. So that's going to be my This Is Total War faction, and I was torn on this one. There were so many fun ones. But in the end, I decided to play as the Iceni. And some of you be like, Air, how could you not choose Sparta for this? You even said it yourself. Okay, I know, Sparta was extremely tempting. However, I have never done a barbarian campaign, and some of you made a good point that I haven't done one, and I thought that this would add some variety to my campaigns. Also, I figured that This Is Total War campaign might be interesting because the Iceni start in a somewhat isolated position. That'll make that interesting, whereas if you started a This Is Total War campaign with a faction that's right in the middle of everybody, it could be insane, something that I may not be able to win. Not to say that I'm going to be able to win this, I don't know, I've never done one. But like someone suggested the Seleucids, an interesting suggestion, but imagine you'd be at war with like 50 factions on the first turn because they have so much visibility right off the bat. Again, interesting, but for the sake of trying to get some barbarian action in here and picking a faction that I thought would be well suited to this type of thing, I will be playing the This Is Total War campaign as the Iceni. So I hope you all enjoy that. Again, this campaign will start as soon as I finish one of the ones I'm on. And once another campaign is finished, I'm going to move on and start a legendary campaign. Most of you all know that I haven't played a campaign on legendary before, and a lot of you like to give me flack over like, you suck, you never play on legendary. I don't care. If you think I suck because I don't play on legendary, then that has zero effect on me. I'm playing these to enjoy it, and on Shogun 2, I had no enjoyment when I was playing on legendary because I thought it was tedious to play on it. It wasn't a challenge in the sense of what I think of a challenge. Rome 2 is a little different. It is easier, in my opinion, than the legendary on Shogun 2, but it's not quite as tedious, and I'm going to play a legendary campaign, and the faction I have chosen for that is Macedon. And why did I choose Macedon? Some of you wanted me to choose Rome because it's Total War Rome 2, but I already kind of have a Rome campaign going on with the Caesar and Gaul, so I chose Macedon because they're a very historical power faction. I also chose them because I think that it'll be a fun one for the legendary campaign because of their somewhat central location in the map. It gives me the ability to run into all types of different factions, barbarians, Easterners, Romans. You know, if I went to Africa, you have all those African tribes. There's all kinds of factions for me to run into, and I figured that this one would be interesting also because Macedon has a pretty large variety of units. So what were some of the other factions I considered for this, and why did I decide to pick these? Well, again, Sparta would have been tons of fun, but I figured that if I was going to do Macedon for a legendary campaign, it would be kind of redundant for me to do a This Is Total War campaign with Sparta, and you have to sit there and watch two Greek factions at the same time. Also, Sparta has pretty much all hoplite and pike troops, and that might get lame watching me use the exact same kind of troops nonstop, like heavy infantry, light cav, and a few mercenaries or something. It may not have been the most interesting deal, whereas Macedon has a larger unit selection, and so do the Iceni. Not to say that I won't eventually play some of these campaigns, because I have plenty of time before we release a new Total War, and I fully intend to make a ton of videos, and I hope you all enjoy it, of course. Alright, the other ideas that I had for the legendary campaign, I had thought about the Iceni, I had thought about the Seleucids. Man, that one would have been tough, really tough. I'm not sure I could have won that. I had thought about Rome, because some of you suggested, but again, strayed away from that one because I already have a Rome campaign going in the Caesar and Gaul, and I kind of like that one because it's a little more focused. There was a lot of factions that I considered, and you all had a lot of great input. So I appreciate your input. If I didn't pick what you want, I apologize, but at the same time, I'm trying to do what I think that people will enjoy and also brings variety. Because I didn't pick the faction that you suggested or the quest that you suggested doesn't mean that it may not happen next time. So please continue to give your feedback so that I can make decisions that I think you all will enjoy. Anyway, HeirofCarthage signing off for now. Hope you enjoyed it.